Ranboo is a new breakout creator who began his career just 6 months ago and is already one of the most popular Minecraft streamers ever, skyrocketing to over 100,000 paid subscribers on Twitch. Now he has begun a new project, an ARG, surrounding his character on the Dream SMP. This video will explain everything you need to know about his character, what an ARG is, and all the clues we currently have to unraveling this compelling mystery. This is the entirety of the Enderwalk ARG. The concept of an ARG, or an alternate reality game, is relatively recent, relying heavily on the internet as a medium to tell a story. By definition, an ARG is an interactive narrative that uses the real world as a platform to deliver a story through clues and puzzles that are deciphered by a community. If you're still confused, think an escape room but digital, and the final goal isn't a key to the door, but discovering a hidden story. Clues can be hidden in social media posts, videos, images, and even in real life.
It also says
like
Hunt.
Right in front of it.
It also says Hunt Street. I don't know if that's relevant.
Clues in real life are often found and then posted to platforms such as Twitter, Discord, or Reddit, where huge communities have formed around solving these ARGs. Ranboo's new ARG, titled the Enderwalk ARG, began on the 16th of March 2021 with an image posted to his alt Twitter account. The image appeared to be mostly black with a simple crown logo at the top, but when brightened, it reveals a much different story. There are strange markings in the center underneath the logo, and letters and numbers scattered randomly across the image. After this edited image was discovered, Ranboo's Twitter location, stream title, and Spotify playlist were all updated to include the phrase, "Find the page." The strange symbols in the middle of the image are recognizable as Enderspeak, the language of Endermen in Minecraft, and they translate to be the word clock. The letters around the image were used by the community to create an imgur link where the next image was found, or page was found. To get this link, the letters were traced in a spiral pattern, which may be recognizable by some of you if you are familiar with the tales of the SMP. The image found under the imgur link is very interesting. There are 3 different fonts present on this page. This curly writing that appears to be the original text, this papyrus writing that makes notes over that, and the Sharpie writing, which writes on top of all of it and scribbles over parts of the text. The writing in the curly font reads, "The Enderwalkers, circ. History, ? Effects, memory, judgment, phys. Classification, genetic. Overall good, but depends on what has been experienced. However, remain cautious, as those who have experienced it have shown that it could be hard." The papyrus writing reads, "Don't let this happen multiple times. You have already been in it too long. Do you not remember?" And figure out how to stop it. The final Sharpie writing scribbles crowns on the paper, obscures the writing, and adds the word "don't" to figure out how to stop it. This image shows what assumptions have been made about the crossed out portions of text, but none of these have been confirmed. And, as you can see, even the image presents multiple different possibilities for each of the blanks, such as circadian or circa, and physical or physique. After this page was found, Ranboo's stream title and Twitter location were both changed to the phrase, "What does it reveal?" a question to which we still don't have a definite answer. Another clue at this time came from his Spotify account, where 2 new songs had been added. One titled "Find the Page" from earlier, and one titled "This Smiley Face." Both of the songs were exactly 4 minutes and 51 seconds long. The meaning of these numbers is still not clear, but some theorize that they are in reference to the angel numbers, which can mean a new beginning or a cycle of events. Other people think that these are in reference to the dystopian novel Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, in which firefighters are tasked with burning every book after books have been outlawed by the government. After these preliminary clues had been released and discovered, Ranboo tweeted a couple things from his alt Twitter account, giving us a little more information about the ARG. He assured the community that the puzzles are just beginning, and to expect them to get harder as the weeks go by. He also clarified that understanding the ARG is not necessary to understanding the story on the Dream SMP. It's just an added bonus for people who find it interesting and want to participate.
The next
Hint.
On March 17th, the second day of the ARG, Ranboo released a teaser sound on his stream of a clock ticking. Also on this day, another new song was added to his Spotify playlist. You can hear that in the background now. The song also includes the sound of a clock ticking, along with eerie music playing in the background. This song lasts for 27 seconds, but so far hasn't led to any more discoveries. The next clue was also revealed on stream, where he showed a portion of an image that he said was related to the ARG.
This is just a little snippet of something that's going to be released pretty soon. You guys are going to like. Do this. Open. There it is. Now the two hints that I have so far given. It helps you guys kind of piece together some things.
The most prevalent theory is that this zigzag purplish image is a portion of a clock, as you can see these small tick marks that indicate a clock's face. And that ended up being correct. The next day, another series of letters and numbers were tweeted from Ranboo's alt, and when unscrambled, they led to a new Imgur link showing this GIF. Lots of different text flashes during this GIF in both English and Enderman. The text reads, "When it's discovered, how is it remembered? Enderwalkers, discovery, and genetic." It also included this stream of letters and numbers, which bring us to the most recent clue, Z. A Twitter account with this string of characters included in its username was discovered existing under the alias Z. Ranboo also updated his Twitter location to the phrase, "Who is Z?" The account right now has only tweeted 3 things. Tick, 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 tick. This image similar to the scrap of paper from earlier, and a final tweet. It has all been found. Until next time, theorize, decipher, remember. The scrap of paper reads, "Hello, if you are reading this, then you have found my book. Might as well introduce myself. My name is but you can just call me Z for now. I have been tasked with researching a phenomenon known as the Enderwalk. It is a difficult task as not much is known, but I've been observing creatures affected by this, and I feel that each day I grow closer to truly understanding how this works. I have left civilization in the pursuit of this knowledge, but I am afraid that if you are reading this book, pray that it is in one piece, as if the pages are separated, they may become harder and harder to find. Until I write again, Z." There is also a small doodle on the page that appears to be the silhouette of an Enderman, and a caption that reads, "My only recollection of one of these creatures." The same papyrus handwriting from last time reads, "The book may help, find the pages understand, and who is Z?" A question that we are all asking. Okay, now I have to talk about what makes this ARG different. No other hidden clues or images have been discovered yet, and this ARG is only just beginning, but there is already so much relevant information out there beyond what I have covered. This ARG is unique because it's happening in real time along with the storyline of the Dream SMP. Most ARGs start in alternate reality from scratch, but the Enderwalk ARG is already beginning with hours of VOD footage and a year worth of lore and roleplay from the Dream SMP story. If you are unfamiliar with the storyline of the SMP, there are 2 resources that I've put in the description. One is a Google Doc summarizing every important event on the server so far, and the other is a YouTube channel that chronicles all important events in episodic video form. I'd recommend the document if you don't have a ton of time, but I will be explaining all of Ranboo's storyline and everything that could be presumably relevant if you are only interested in the ARG. You do not need to know every plotline to understand the ARG. Now, despite only streaming for 6 months, Ranboo's story is a pretty long one, so let's begin. Ranboo, a half-Enderman, half-unknown hybrid, logs onto the SMP for the first time and is given a tour by the president of L'Manberg Tubbo. Tubbo seems friendly enough to Ranboo, and L'Manberg at this point is a pretty stable place to live. It's got a government, it's got some laws, it's got some rule and order, so Ranboo makes his first home here and moves in. While he's setting up in L'Manberg, Ranboo meets Tommy for the first time, the troublemaker of the SMP. During their first ever interaction, Tommy approaches Ranboo and says something along the lines of, "Hey, you know George?" Who, for context, is both the king of the SMP and Dream's best friend. Yeah, George seems like a little bit of a nerd, and he just built a new house. Do you want to go vandalize it with me?
Let's rob this bitch. Yeah, okay.
Now, Ranboo, always a little spineless, always a little people-pleasing, can't say no to Tommy, so they go and mess with George's new house until it ends up being completely burnt down. This was, by no means, the perfect crime. Multiple people saw both Ranboo and Tommy around George's house acting suspicious. When Ranboo is questioned, however, he experiences his first bout of memory loss, which will become a reoccurring theme for his character. Ranboo knows that he did commit the crime, but he has trouble remembering anything about the event at all. Dream, one of the most powerful members on the server, freaks out that George's house got burned down and starts punishing L'Manberg for it, but Tommy takes all of the blame. He defends Ranboo when questioned, and everyone seems to accept that Ranboo can't be held accountable for something that he can't remember. Tommy is exiled in order to protect L'Manberg from Dream's wrath, and Ranboo is filled with guilt for not being punished as well. But life moves on. Ranboo, a loyal citizen of L'Manberg, is appointed to be the Minuteman for the cabinet, which means that he is present at all important meetings of the government and writes down what happens to keep a record. He decides that he likes the idea of writing things down to keep a record, especially due to his memory issues that keep occurring, so he creates the first of what he calls a memory book, titled "Do Not Read" in all caps, and writes down important things that he needs to remember. At some point while living in L'Manberg, Quackity, another citizen, comes to Ranboo and ropes him into a plot to kill the traitor to L'Manberg, Technoblade. Ranboo, ever spineless and ever people-pleasing, agrees, foolishly believing that this plan includes a fair trial with a jury and a fitting punishment. The plan very much does not include those things, and had Quackity been successful, Technoblade would be dead, but as we all know,
Technoblade never dies!
Techno escapes with his life, but not with his very valuable armor, and Ranboo feels guilty for being a part of the violence when he didn't want to be. One day after this incident, Ghostspur, a character who often plays the role of mediator on the server, comes to Ranboo and invites him to go on a trip. They end up at Technoblade's cabin in the woods, where Techno understandably attacks Ranboo, who was part of a plot to kill him. Eventually, he threatens Ranboo enough to get him to return his armor, at which point he calms considerably, and Ranboo finds out that Tommy, who has been exiled this whole time, is staying in hiding with Techno. Ghostspur works his magic, Tommy, Techno, and Ranboo all end on friendly terms with each other, and Ranboo realizes with horror that he has betrayed both Techno and Tommy by being part of the plot against Techno, and L'Manberg by becoming friends with the traitor that they want dead. This is the beginning of Ranboo's very famous philosophy, choose people, don't choose sides. The philosophy is pretty straightforward, it does what it says on the tin, but it sets him apart from most of the other characters on the SMP who all align themselves with the constantly forming and deteriorating nations. Just as Ranboo did, Dream eventually finds out that Tommy has escaped exile and is being sheltered by Technoblade. Dream shows up at L'Manberg and starts building obsidian walls to punish them for not keeping Tommy in exile. General fighting ensues, all until the fight ends up at the community house and everyone realizes that it has been blown to pieces.
Would I lie about this?
What?
What the
Oh!
What the hell?
Now, if you do watch the Dream SMP, I don't need to explain this part to you, and if you don't, just know the community house is of huge sentimental value. It is a very important building. Dream blames the destruction of the community house on Tommy, who has escaped exile, and threatens to blow L'Manberg down to bedrock as retribution. Before leaving, he calls Ranboo out and names him a traitor to L'Manberg.
You can't even run your nation right! Ranboo is a traitor! One of your most trusted friends!
No.
Before handing him his own memory book labeled Do Not Read. Ranboo doesn't understand what just happened, why he was called a traitor by Dream, or how Dream got his hands on his own book. And worst of all, he can't even trust himself to remember what he has done or not. Understandably, he has a bit of a breakdown and creates a panic room for himself. This will become a very important setting in Ranboo's story. In this panic room, he looks at the memory book that Dream handed back to him, which has been completely erased except for one lasting smile. Ranboo reinforces to himself that he needs to choose people and not sides in order to remain safe. But things only get worse from here for poor Ranboo. Dream is planning on destroying L'Manberg, which is where he lives. But Ranboo has already become disillusioned with being a part of a country when it only seems to bring violence and conflict. He is scared and confused and lashes out at a bunch of his friends before ending up in his panic room again. This is where things get really interesting. Inside his panic room, Ranboo hears a voice that sounds exactly like Dream, but it's coming from nowhere. From this point forward, the distinction between Dream and the Dream voice is very important. There are points at which we don't know if it is Dream or just the Dream's voice in Ranboo's head, but they are two different things. The Dream voice Ranboo is hearing in the panic room confirms his worst fear and tells him that by trying to help everyone at the same time, he has betrayed them all. Ranboo leaves the panic room in denial and decides that despite his disillusionment with countries, right now protecting his home and his friends from Dream's threats of explosion is the most important thing to focus on. Doomsday arrives and L'Manberg is attacked by both Techno and Dream. But before the TNT bombing begins, Technoblade finds Ranboo, gives him his memory book, which he somehow doesn't have again, and in a moment of compassion tells Ranboo to get out of there.
Ranboo, get out of here, Ranboo. I don't have anything against you. You can get out of here. Just flee in the battle. No one will know.
Unsurprisingly, L'Manberg is no match for stacks and stacks of TNT, and Ranboo watches it fall from a safe distance. L'Manberg is fallen for good. As the server recovers from the rubble and the citizens of L'Manberg find new places to live, Philza and Techno, who seem to have a soft spot for Ranboo, offer him a place to live next to their cabin. Moving in with the enemies of your recently destroyed country isn't a great look, but Ranboo accepts anyway and chooses people instead of sides. After a while, things calm down and Ranboo settles into his new home, and for once is free from any threats by Dream or anyone else. That is, until the music. One day, while in his house next to Techno and Phil's cabin, Ranboo starts hearing this strange music playing inside his head no matter where he goes. The music doesn't stop until he goes to his panic room and finds a music disc playing the music that was somehow projecting inside his own head. In the panic room, the Dream voice comes back again and accuses Ranboo of being a traitor. The voice tells Ranboo that he is the one who blew up the community house and that he is the one who has been helping Dream. Ranboo tries to deny this and blames the voice on his own anxious mind trying to fill in the gaps in his memory. But this is until the voice shows him a place within his own panic room where he has hidden a chest of TNT. Ranboo is scared and confused and leaves the panic room with the plan to let no one know of what he has just discovered. After a while, Ranboo gathers his resolve and goes back to confront the voice, trying to reason with it, saying that it still has no proof. This is a mistake. A big mistake. The voice shows Ranboo where to find one of Tommy's discs hidden under Ranboo's own house, one of the discs that has been the root of all war on the server since the beginning. Ranboo freaks out and starts to take the voice seriously. He rationalizes to himself that he must be helping Dream if he has one of the discs, and that it must be during these gaps in his memory where he doesn't know what he does or where he goes. A bit later on, Tommy and Tubbo have a huge confrontation with Dream, and the whole server, including Ranboo, bands together to get the disc back and put Dream in prison.
No. It's fine.
Oh, no,
It's about time, anyway. It's about time. It is...
What the fuck?
Goodbyes.
I'm sorry, Dream.
Goodbye, Tommy.
Hans.
I'm sorry, Dream. But you should have paid me more.
Soon after this occurs, Ranboo realizes that at the time he experienced a time skip from before Dream was in prison to after he is in prison, and he has no memory of the confrontation at all, even though he was there. And this is the point, and hear me out here, where Ranboo gets superpowers. He connects a bit more with his half-Enderman side, and starts picking up blocks with his bare hands like he has the Silk Touch enchantment. He also starts to call these gaps in his memory Enderwalking, derived from the word sleepwalking, guessing that it has something to do with his Enderman powers. During all of this, Dream is in prison, and this is when what I'm calling the Prison SAGA begins. The prison is allowed visitors, and Ranboo goes to visit Dream in prison for the first time, but something seems a little bit off. Once he is inside of the cell, reality starts to crumble further, and you realize that Ranboo is not talking to Dream, but the Dream voice from his hallucinations. Dream gives Ranboo a copy of every memory book Ranboo has ever made, tells him that he is best friends with Dream, and the stream cuts off as Ranboo's vision starts to sway, and he passes out. After this confusing episode, Ranboo decides he needs to actually visit Dream in order to separate the two events in his head and get some closure. Ranboo goes to the prison, and Sam, the warden, begins the safety protocol, including the typical questions. Sam asks Ranboo when the last time he visited the prison was, and Ranboo answers that he hasn't visited the prison yet, because according to his memory, he hasn't. Sam takes the prison business very seriously, and tells Ranboo to stop joking around.
Ranboo, I have a book in my storage that's signed where you signed all the release forms when you came last time. What are you talking about?
Dude. I don't think
Ranboo,
so. I mean...
Okay, look. If we're not going to take it serious, you should go.
Ranboo, terrified, realizes he must have visited the prison once before while in his Enderwalking state. Sam confirms this belief when he shows Ranboo the forms he signed as proof of his prior visit, and all the forms are written in Enderspeak, not English. Not only this, but Sam tells Ranboo that he allowed him to bring his memory book inside the cell to record his visit. Ranboo checks all of the books that he has, but finds nothing written down about a prison visit. This leads to the idea of the Book of the Enderwalk, another book similar to Ranboo's memory books, but one that was created while he was in his Enderwalking state rather than his normal state. He has no clue where a book such as this could be. The gaps in his memory continue, and other clues show that the Enderwalking is still going on. His tools suddenly decrease in durability, things aren't where he left them, etc., etc. Despite this chaos, Ranboo is happy. His life experiences one of his first periods of real peace. He still lives outside of Techno and Phil's cabin, but he visits a new up-and-coming nation called Snowchester quite often, which is where Tubbo lives. He and Tubbo get married for tax purposes, but end up growing very close and starting a family together. They adopt a baby zombie pigman that they had found in the Nether months earlier, and name him Michael. Michael is the purest source of joy on the entire server.
Ah!
I love this so much.
This is great. Life is great.
Oh, I got a photo of that too.
During this time, Ranboo also ends up joining a group called the Syndicate, which is run by Techno, and functions as a way for the anarchists of the server to basically network. Ranboo isn't necessarily an anarchist, but the anti-government message is close enough to his philosophy of not choosing sides. He's friends with Techno, and by being a part of the group, he can make sure it doesn't pose any threat to Snowchester, where his husband and child live. And this is where the storyline is currently at. Tommy has recently escaped from being accidentally trapped inside the prison, where we learn that Dream has the power to kill and bring people back from the dead. Ranboo has been recruited by Tommy to help take out Dream for once and for all before he becomes too powerful. Ranboo's current character goals are to figure out what his Enderwalking means, take out Dream, and protect his family, Tubbo and Michael. But how does all this story and plotline connect to the ARG from earlier? Let's discuss some theories about what the clues mean for the story. One of the most popular current theories is that the Enderwalk state is controlled by Dream. It seems pretty obvious that Dream is not unrelated to the Enderwalking, but how he was related is still unclear. Some form of mind control would make sense with the evidence we currently have, but there is nothing that directly points to this theory, or at least I thought, until I saw this. One day on stream, Ranboo was organizing his inventory. If you don't play Minecraft, or even if you do, this may look extremely normal, but look at the details. Why does he leave these two gaps at the top of his inventory empty, and why is the iron separated into two different slots? Members of the community took the first letter of each of the items in this strangely sorted inventory, H for hay bale, E for emerald, and so on, until they realized Ranboo had been trying to send his viewers a message that reads, "He is in control." During this stream, Ranboo also makes a to-do list, presumably to get more items and finish the message. Even though he doesn't obtain all of these items, the list goes like this: obsidian, farming, mining, explore, trident, nether, treasure. Notice anything weird? The message finishes out, "of me," and then spells the word TNT. This is pretty damning evidence, but it also reveals something else important. Why was the word TNT included? Well, when Tommy got stuck inside of the prison, he was stuck due to an explosion on the prison's roof, causing a security issue. No one has taken responsibility for the explosions as of yet, but Ranboo was online at the time that they happened. Not only this, but after the security issue occurred, Ranboo began streaming and made a point of saying, "I think that I was mining," prior to beginning stream. This is clearly foreshadowing if Ranboo was indeed responsible for the explosions while under the control of Dream, and he simply forgot due to his memory issues. Another important thing to note is that when Dream was put into prison, which is one of the gaps in Ranboo's memory, Dream is seen staring intently at Ranboo's character the entire time. The fact that this was an intentional choice on Dream's part has also been confirmed off-stream.
For the first time I saw a couple people mentioning back to when I was being like taken away to be put in prison, and we're pointing out that that I was like looking at you, right? And the thing is, like, obviously, like, I planned that, right? Like, I planned like straight on, and like if you go watch the clip, like a lot of times I think Tommy turns so you can't see, but like I am staring you down the entire time. Yeah.
Not only this, but when Sapnap went to visit Dream in prison, Dream asks him to pass on a message to Ranboo. The message is the simple smiley face that has been written in Ranboo's memory books before.
He wanted me to pass you a message.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
It was a really simple message actually, so I don't see
the
issue with it.
Right.
I think it was just this. Does that mean anything to you, or Ranboo?
This proves that there is at least some connection between Ranboo and the real Dream, since Sapnap does not experience hallucinations and he is the one that passes on the message. The final piece of evidence that confirms Dream is in control of Ranboo is this image that plays at the end of Ranboo's streams. But not every stream. The only streams that outro with this combination of Dream and Ranboo's logos are the streams where Ranboo hears the Dream's voice speaking inside his head. This small detail explicitly links the two characters, showing a visual representation of their combination, and it lets us know that Ranboo is planning these solutions very intentionally. A second theory that isn't mutually exclusive of the Dream theory is that Carl is also somehow connected to Ranboo and his Enderwalking. There are less direct clues supporting this theory, but enough uncanny coincidences to assume that it could become more linked in the future. For those unfamiliar with Carl lore, here's a quick rundown. This is Carl. Carl is a time traveler. The time travel is messing with his head and causing his memory to deteriorate. Because of this, he keeps a library of information to remember what he has learned, not unlike Ranboo's memory books. The other important piece of Carl lore is the In-Between. When Carl time travels, he goes to a place called the In-Between. The In-Between is a giant, completely white castle. When he is there, he turns desaturated, finds weird books everywhere, and sees replicas of himself walking around. Weird stuff goes down in the In-Between. That's all you need to know. Okay, remember this? The very first clue from the entire ARG is this image, and in order to correctly decode it, the letters are linked in this spiraling pattern. Look familiar? It's the same spiral on Carl's hoodie. Now, let's look at Ranboo's skin. Remember how Ranboo is half Enderman? Well, we still don't know what this other half is, but look at the colors. Ranboo's unknown other half is the same desaturated gray and white as Carl's hoodie turns when he's in the In-Between. Not only this, but both characters experience memory loss, and Carl's happens right after he turns this bland gray version of himself. Ranboo is always half gray, and he experiences constant but partial memory loss. One theory is that Ranboo's unknown half is related to Carl's time traveling and will soon become just as important to the plot as his Enderman half currently is. Clocks also seem to keep cropping up no matter where you look, which could also be connected to Carl's time traveling, including this word from the ARG clue, the giant clock on the mansion in Snowchester, and the clocks in Billiam's mansion from a Tales episode that Ranboo's character was obsessed with looking at. The temporary one-off characters created for the Tales of the SMP episodes are not related to the permanent characters of the Dream SMP, but this small detail that Ranboo included of his character staring at the clocks could have been a teaser for what's to come, or simply a small Easter egg for the most observant of viewers. Now for the other important clock. The clock on the mansion in Snowchester displays the time 10:34, which we have to assume is a deliberate choice because the original image that started the ARG was also posted at exactly 10:34. Some believe that this means the Enderwalk only happens at a specific time, 10:34, but this theory doesn't hold much water or have any further evidence. A better theory, or rather, a better strange coincidence, is one discovered using Ranboo's Spotify account. A member of the community took the 10th song on one of his playlists, and at the exact 34-second mark, you can hear the lyric, "Remember," tying back into Ranboo's memory loss. All of these clocks and matching colors and memory loss could have easily been unintended, but this final coincidence that is also found on Ranboo's Spotify account seals the deal. Do you remember these two unplayable tracks that are both exactly 4 minutes and 51 seconds long from earlier? Throughout his lore streams on the Dream SMP, Ranboo often plays songs either from the Undertale soundtrack by Toby Fox or by another artist under the name Lemon Demon. There are no songs on the Undertale soundtrack that are 4 minutes 51 seconds long, but there is exactly one Lemon Demon song that is, and during the verse you can hear the lyrics say, "I think if I went back in time, he'd be there alive." And later in the song, "Now the clock ticks, and I hope this will fix all the present bird tricks." Is this reference to a song about time travel from Ranboo's ARG intentional? Does this mean Ranboo and Carl's lore is connected? Well, that's for you to decide. The last piece of new evidence are these cryptic messages that appear as overlays on Tubbo's streams from time to time. It is unclear if they are connected to the Ranboo ARG or if they're connected to some other part of the Dream SMP lore. But they are still unknown enough that I thought it would be important to include. The very first time they appeared, it went as follows. "Hello, can you hear me? I'm cold. It's very dark. I can hear them. They are underneath me. I don't make cakes often. I've never even had one. Oh no, please. I must go now. Goodbye, Michael." The second time, "Quick, I don't have much time. Stay away from the north. A strange metal weapon washed up. It poisons the water. No, it's not. That's it. We are leaving." The next time, "Someone needs to tell him he must go to the north. If anyone can hear this, I stashed a book. It has instructions. He needs to wake up. He must wake up." And the most recent time, "The north. Go there. Don't go there. Please don't. Promise me. I like how the house is looking. It's much nicer than the north. I hate it here. I am trapped." And that's all the context we have for these cryptic messages. For now, we wait for new clues to be discovered and for the storyline to progress while we try to decipher the meaning behind these scraps of paper we are left with. Who is Z and why are they studying the Enderwalk? Who are these two other people writing over the notes left by Z? Is this person urging to do not let it happen Ranboo, who desperately wants to be in control of his own body? Is this messy writing that obscures the information and changes figure out to don't figure out dream, trying to keep Ranboo oblivious and under his control? Or is it Ranboo himself in his Enderwalking state, where that portion of his subconscious is craving self-preservation? This ARG is still ongoing, and if it interests you, I urge you to find a community where it is being talked about. Being present while one of these puzzles unfolds is a truly unique experience that you should not miss. In the description, I've linked every post, Google document, and YouTube channel that I used to create this video. An ARG truly is a community event, and there is no way I could have come up with all of this on my own. If you want to get involved, looking at those would be a great place to start. I've also linked the huge ARG Discord for hearing what others are saying, and maybe throwing out some theories of your own. If you're still here, thank you for watching this video all the way through. This type of video takes a lot of effort, and I've spent weeks collecting evidence from every source I could find to make sure nothing was left out. If you enjoyed or want to be here for future videos like this one on the ARG, please subscribe. I have a lot of plans for videos like this that I want to make in the future, and it would help me out a ton. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. That's everything I have for now. Make sure to check out the links in the description, and I'll see you soon.